Welcome to the Prime Debate. The consensus over the proposal to withdraw the Armed Forces Special Powers Act from some parts of Jammu and Kashmir is still eluding. The act that gives the army the powers to shoot and search without a warrant has already split the cabinet. From Kashmir to northeast, the demand that the act be withdrawn has been rising. Even as the future of the act is being debated, the army's reservations have been in the public domain. With more than 80 deaths in the valley, Kashmir is sliding into a state of uncertainty and hopelessness. The centre is mulling options to restore normalcy in the strife-torn state, and one of them is the withdrawal of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. But will this move help?
The demand for the withdrawal of the Armed Forces Special Protection Act from the valley has been a long pending one, with the separatists and even Chief Minister raising the issue.
जम्मू कश्मीर के इस मुतनाज़ा मसले को हल करने में संजीदा हैं, तो उसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि जबर जुल्म की कार्रवाइयाँ ख़त्म की जाएं।
दो ऑप्शंस हैं हमारे सामने। एक तो अफ्स्पा जो है उसके जो कुछ सख्त जो उसके पहलू हैं उनको नरम किया जाए। दूसरा ऑप्शन हमारे सामने ये है कि जहाँ पे मिलिटेंसी का असर रसूख जो है लगभग ना होने के बराबर है, जहाँ पे आर्मी का अब शायद रोल ना होने के बराबर है, वहाँ पे क्या इस चीज़ पे सोचा जा सकता है कि फेज्ड मैनर में अफ्स्पा को हटा दिया जाए, जिसके लिए जम्मू में भी और कश्मीर में भी कुछ डिस्ट्रिक्टों को आइडेंटिफाई करने का काम किया जा रहा है।
However, BJP is opposed to any dilution of military powers.
1947 से लेकर के कश्मीर को भारत का अंग बनाए रखने के लिए हमको कितनी कुर्बानियां देनी पड़ी है, कितना त्याग करना पड़ा है, और बावजूद इसके अगर वहां पर संकट की स्थिति पैदा होती है, कोई भी कठिन स्थिति क्राइसिस पैदा होता है, तो हमको ही डेमोनाइज किया जाता है, हममें से ही दोष निकाला जाता है कि इनके कारण सब गड़बड़ हो रही है, इन्होंने ह्यूमन राइट्स का उल्लंघन किया है, इनका जो स्पेशल आर्म पावर्स एक्ट है उसके अंदर ऐसे प्रावधान हैं कि जो खत्म होने चाहिए। पूरा का पूरा ध्यान आर्म्ड फोर्सेस पर।
The security forces have lost more than 5,000 of their men in the past 20 years and are at the receiving end in the political diction of Kashmiri leaders to feel that their work is being undermined.
I believe that a soldier, while involved in performing his duty, deserves all the legal protection that he can get. And I'm sure the government is sensitized to this particular problem, and whatever decision they will take, I'm sure will be the correct one.
The government on Tuesday had rejected internal differences over the contentious Armed Forces Special Protection Act and expressed confidence that a solution will be found. But if a partial withdrawal is the answer, then it will take place in Jammu, Samba, Srinagar, where there is hardly any visibility of the army. Considering this, will the move help anyway?
Should the Armed Forces Special Powers Act be repealed or diluted? To discuss this, we are joined in our studios by Major General Raj Mehta, former GOC of a division in J&K, Mr. R.S. Bains, human rights lawyer, Mr. V.K. Raina, a Kashmiri and now a member of the Kashmiri Pandit Sabha in Panchkula. Welcome to the studio. General Mehta, people from across certain parts of the valley are actually demanding some kind of a relief from the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. The army is of course resisting it. Does the army have a point?
I think a substantial point, Mr. Sandhu. The very first point that I have to make is, of the 87 deaths that have taken place, including the 2 just reported at Mendhar, not a single case is attributed to the army. The firing has been carried out by the state police, by the state armed police, by the CRPF, with the army being completely out of this. So I am actually at a loss to understand as to what is the correlationship between what is happening in the valley and the need to dilute or undermine or remove the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. I fail to see a connect.
But I think we are only talking about the last couple of weeks of agitation, where against, this agitation has been mainly against the paramilitary forces, CRPF in particular, where there was a lot of stone throwing, and the CRPF was forced to fire on the people, and that's how these deaths took place. But I think the demand for repeal or dilution of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act has been, there for the last couple of months. So that's how the army gets involved, no?
No, you do have a definite point there, and here I would say that what we've watched as events over the last few years has been that governance has been less than capable of delivering the requirements or the aspirations of the people. Bureaucracy has had its own loop of inactivity or inaction. The last court of capacity to hold up the image and the name of the nation is finally the army.
No, that is fine, but then you see the act is seen to be very draconian. There is no doubt about it. I mean, it gives absolute kind of sweeping powers to the army to operate under those circumstances. Now, it's almost as if the army is allowed to operate without any accountability. How justified is that?
I mean, after having spent almost 40 years in the army with 6 tenures in Kashmir, I would not
You
be
even
able
commanded
to
the formation of the Rashtra Rifles there.
Yes,
no?
I did. I commanded that formation in Anantnag. I got injured in an encounter there. Then I commanded a division. I was chief of staff at the BB Camp, etc. And I can say that there have been cases of our slightly getting carried away on several occasions, and each of those cases are being tested and tried out within the army and by the country, and we are absolutely in line with that kind of thinking. But to imagine that 2 or 3 instances should dictate the removal of a complete act that gives a soldier freedom to operate in national interest is something I am very uncomfortable with.
Mr. Benz, freedom to operate in this manner is against the rule of law. Your comments on that?
Armed Forces Special Power Act actually is not an act. It's basically a declaration that an NGO, even a non-commissioned officer, can go anywhere, kill anybody, search any place, and thereafter will not be held accountable without the sanction of the central government. Now, this is something which is the complete antithesis when you say a rule of law. Law means limitation on power. This act removes all power. So how do you judge, how do you catch a guilty or a malafide action of any army officer or a particular army soldier? Ultimately, it's an emotional state. You are under stress. You will overdo things. What is wrong in holding a soldier who just kills anybody out of malice, out of anger, out of any other consideration?
Now you touching on a very dangerous area. Now the army maintains, and I think it's true to a large extent, that it is the last resort of a nation, right? They're fighting a proxy war. We all know that there are forces inimical to our interests from across the border who are supporting these people. So under those circumstances, don't you think they need some kind of a protection?
Even in an enemy nation, the army never puts his soldiers are always under control. You will always try a soldier, even in enemy nation, if he commits rape and murder. You don't allow army such soldiers, that kind of thing, and therefore that will be a better army. You see, we saw in between the difference between British.
I think there is some kind of a system within the army to punish those who cross the line, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, it is a system that has commanded worldwide respect, because we command, the officers of the army command lives on trust, and to retain that aspect of trust, you have to be very, very
definitely the trust is being betrayed, because otherwise there won't be a demand of the kind that is coming, isn't it?
So, but having said that, if 2 or 3 instances of malafide intent or misbehavior rule that the entire law itself be thrown into the rubbish bin, is something anybody would be most uncomfortable with, considering that over 5,000 soldiers have lost their lives holding up the fair name of the nation and
Let me get Mr. Raina into the discussion now. Mr. Raina, you've been dubbed as a Kashmiri Pandit. Now, I know you come from Kashmir. What part of Kashmir do you come from?
Srinagar state, main state.
So, how many years is it that you've been out of the valley now?
Well, actually, I have been out for quite some time, but after 90s we practically have been restrained. Though we do go occasionally, more or less as tourists, rather than planning to settle down there.
So the people of the valley, at least sections of people of the valley, have been kind of forced to be tourists today.
Exactly, and the problem is when they discuss, they are talking now that we are going to talk to all parties. I was surprised. How come nobody from Ladakh, nobody from Kashmiri, so-called Hindus or Pandits or Jammu is being called out? Why only people from
nobody from your organization was called for these meetings?
Nobody. We are not even represented in
You
assembly.
need to form a political party, because I think the political parties are invited there.
We are not even represented in assembly. Or for that matter, Ladakhis are not represented.
So how do you react to all this debate which is on at this point of time to repeal or not to repeal the Armed Forces Special Powers Act?
As a normal person, one would not like to have such draconian laws. Let's be honest about it. In a civilized society, in a democracy, yes. But we have always to consider, why was this applied? Something happened because of which government had to enforce this law. Now within that law, if there can be made certain minor adjustments, so far as maybe Srinagar city is considered as they are asking, but my worry is this is not going to help.